Welcome to Middle School Week on This Life of Ours on my channel and over my blog this week. Every day you're going to find a different middle school related post or video. My goal for you, or for this week, is just to help make middle school more approachable. I know a lot of people freak out when they get to middle school and high school and they feel overwhelmed and like they can't possibly teach homeschool their middle school age kids. And I want to hopefully give you a little confidence in tackling it. If you have any questions, whether they relate to the video topic or not, about homeschooling middle school, please make sure you leave me comments below or over my Facebook page. I will do my very best to help however I can. Now, one more note before we get started is this week I will be hosting a middle school collaboration. It will go up tomorrow, Tuesday, and it'll be open all week. So check out, not just tomorrow, but check out later in the week too, as more people may possibly add to it. So now let's get started on this topic. Independence. Now, what I will say, most importantly, is that guiding kids to independence is a learned skill. Some kids naturally work independently and just take that on. For most kids, though, that is not the case. And so it's something that they're going to learn. And that's okay. We get the privilege of guiding them to that. As parents, we get the privilege of so many things. And as homeschoolers, there are even more things that we get the privilege of teaching them. And how to be independent teens and adults is one more thing we get the privilege of. So, I should also say before I get started, I just have one she's finishing 8th grade now. So I am not a middle school expert at all, but I do have things to share, and that's what my goal is for the week. Or my secondary goal is. Now, independence as a general topic, I am not someone who wants my kids working independently by age 8. Couple reasons. One, I don't think it's developmentally appropriate for most kids. Two, the level that they can learn at a young age when they have to do the reading and the comprehension, the teaching basically themselves, versus what they can learn if I'm the one teaching them is quite different. And three, I just enjoy being there. I enjoy doing it. My youngest is 8 and I am with him for most things. He's my most independent at this age, and he has some things he does daily by himself, but I'm right there with him for most of it. My 4th grader just his personality is doing most of his school, non-history and science schoolwork by himself. We do math together. Otherwise, he only needs me for help. And then I have my 8th grader. She definitely needed me the most at a younger age, but she has just naturally taken on more and more independence. If I had listened to people from the time she was young until even last week, as I was researching middle school topics, there's a real divide, or I don't know what to say. A lot of people think that if your child isn't working independently, at least on most of their subjects, by age 8 or 9, they're going to be a teenager who can't possibly write any of their own answers or read any of their own work or whatever. And that's just not true. I call rubbish on that. Part of being a teen is just naturally becoming your own person and naturally taking on more independence as they age, as a way of separating from you as they're working their way into adulthood. So it's just a natural thing. Anyway, all of that to say, here are my 5 tips to kind of guide your child to more independence. Number 1, think about where you want them to be a year from now or 6 months from now, and start working towards that. Do you want them to be doing all of their work independently by then? Do you want them to be doing all of their, half their subjects on their own? Do you want to have 1 check-in a day with them, 2 check-in a day? What do you want that to look like in a year from now? And start working towards that. Way I did it with Elizabeth, she needed the pushing. And she was doing it more on her own, but she also needed me just to kind of help push her along. So I would sit by her, and for the subjects where she needed me more, and I'd sit at her elbow, beside kind of thing, and I would have her try to tackle her work without me. So I might be reading with one of my sons, or whatever, but I'm still right there in her proximity. Then I started moving away. I'd check in with her at the beginning of a subject, go to help someone else, and let her tackle it. Then I more and more that way. Now we do a check-in in the morning. Her first 2 subjects I am available for if she needs that time, and then she works on her own. If she has more help, if she needs more help later on, we do a check-in after lunch as well. Take it 1 subject at a time and plan 6 weeks or so to get them there. Now, it may not. You may have a child who 2 weeks and they're fine. It may take a little longer. Whatever it is, don't compare what your child is to others. You know your child best. Work at their pace and let it, go as you need it to be. Number 2, make sure they have the tools to find their answers. This was something that just didn't occur to me at first. I learned how to navigate textbooks because I was bored in class. I can remember being 2nd grade and learning about the copyright information at the beginning of the book and indexes and everything because I was so bored. Well, my children don't have that same natural exploration time because I'm keeping them active, so they're not bored. So make sure your child knows how to look up in the index and the table of contents. Make sure they know how to use Google. Do you have an Apple product? Could you teach them to use Siri? Oh, that was a big thing for Elizabeth. I have her using Siri a lot, and teach them about how to evaluate sources on the web, on the internet, and what ones would be a good one to look at and which ones are not, that sort of thing. Show them where to find the answer keys so that when they're done with their work, they can check their answers for themselves and then try it again if they need to, and if not, mark it so they can ask you. Which brings me to number 3. Set up clear expectations for when they should ask for help from you and how. I talked about this in a recent video about schedules, but my daughter, when she has a question, she just wants to ask me that. So we've had to work really hard at teaching her, reminding her to set it aside and I will come back to it. I like these little post-it flags because they're a perfect, I'm not wasting, that's a big thing for me, but she can mark, just use it and mark it in her book, like where's the problem. If she needs to write on it, she can, and then stack it. And so that way when I do have time to help her, we know exactly what the problem is, where to find it, and we can go straight to it. Now, as far as expectations, my goal, and this is something that we work on a lot still, is that she needs to be able to tell me what she tried to tackle the problem. She needs to be able to tell me what she did to try to find the answer. That's the stuff she really doesn't like to do. And that way I'm making sure that she is learning, 1, not to just go straight to asking me, and number 2, how to find the answers on her own. That's something that obviously I really want my children to be able to do. And so by putting that expectation in there, she knows that she's not supposed to come just straight to me. Number 4, have a schedule and a timer for them. Now, the schedule can be fairly loose. I will link to you the video that I just did about paper schedules for us, and some changes we made. But we have a language arts block. She has a math block. She has a history science block. So we don't have I'm not super strict, like 10 minutes on this one, 10 minutes on this one, 10 minutes on this one. So, where was I going with that? I don't know. Oh, just that if they have a schedule, then they, and a time or some kind of a clock or something, they can teach, they're learning how to kind of stay on task and not get so behind on one subject that they're not moving on to other things. So obviously that's going to kind of depend on your kind of philosophy of homeschooling anyway, but that's something that I found has been very helpful for her this year. And the last one, just know that sometimes they're going to need more help than other times. Sometimes I just really need to bury myself or fall into my husband's arms more than other times. Sometimes around the house I need more help than other times. Sometimes I just feel a need to have my friends more than other times. Sometimes we just don't know why we need more help than others. It's not going to make me more independent if I get shamed for those things or get yelled at for those things. I need the understanding that, yeah, you know what, sometimes I just need people or help more than other times. I'm not lazy, I'm not coddled, I just need it. And the same with our teens. Sometimes they're just going to need more help. Maybe this section is just more difficult than what you think it should be for them. Maybe their teen hormones are messing their brains and they're not understanding it. Maybe they just need that confidence check-in of mom. You know, as a toddler, sometimes your child would be busy playing and then all of a sudden they would burst into tears and run over to you and get a hug, and then they're down and off again. Teens are generally going to be doing that, but sometimes they still need that emotional connection from you, and that is okay. We just need it sometimes, and especially at this age when so much is changing, that added confidence that just mom's proximity can give them can be enough. Now, that said, I do take those moments sometimes, depending on the emotional state, to help my daughter figure out what's going on. Is she tired and that's why she's struggling? Is she hungry? Does she need to get up and take a walk outside? Is it just, whatever it is, and that way she can also learn to problem solve more and identify those feelings more. And I can give her the scripts, like if she's just feeling frustrated and then is cycling into a down on herself thing, then that's something we can tackle, and that's a very different one than maybe this part is just really not making sense. So absolutely just know that sometimes they're just going to need that help from you or that proximity from you. But sometimes those are great opportunities to help them learn to problem solve and figure out what's going on for the future so they can do it on their own. So those are my 5 tips for guiding middle school kids to independence. You will see on the screen here the list of other topics that I'm going to be sharing this week. So be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the other videos for my middle school series. And thanks for watching.